Hello guys. A couple of weeks ago I was watching a live stream by creator of the mod pack I use, the multipack, when somebody asked him if he's going to include Battle Assistant mod into his mod pack. The answer was no, as he feels that it gives unfair advantage to artillery players and all that. Please note that guy doesn't play artillery himself. I had no idea what this Battle Assistant mod is at the time, so I just dismissed the whole thing, thinking it's probably another cheat or something. Nothing to really be interested in. But then few days later, I heard about it again from one of my friends, and then from another one, and then the whole thing went completely viral on all tank forums and created a lot of discussions and stuff. So I did a bit of research and found out not only this mod is 100% legal, it has also won the Wargaming Developers Award as Best Client Modification. To give you an example, what else was there, the multiple row tank carousel in your garage came in second. I like to play artillery myself, so I decided to give it a try. So here we are. I'm in platoon with a friend of mine because constant spotting and keeping enemies lit is especially important when I try to test something. And as we're testing accuracy improvements, I took 100% AP load. I will be using only armor-piercing shells in this one. So anyway, my flatmate is spotting, and I'm gonna cover him and see what happens and how this aiming actually works. Let's take a look. Trees are falling, so another guy must be close. Here he comes. King Tiger. Shot. Hit. Not too bad. Looks rather nice. Now there's another tank, T-34. To all of you arty haters, your teammate has been hit by artillery 30 seconds ago here, and you saw it. But you're still going forward in the open, and you're pushing. And then you get hit and you start complaining about artillery hitting you? Please, this is pathetic. Platoon of 2 players from top clans, and then you spot a medium tank from that platoon and it doesn't make you think that, hey, this guy is probably covered by his own arty? Oh well, no comment. Back to the subject. One funny thing I discovered is, when you see from this point of view, you realize how small the tank is in your aiming circle. It's like really small and your dispersion is really huge. I was testing it in the training room first, and I was aiming at still standing mouse from 450 meters, and I tell you what, I was able to shoot his weak spot on my 3rd shot because of the dispersion, even though 261 is one of the most accurate artilleries in the game. See this? Again, it went too close, even though I was aiming almost to the middle of the tank. Another thing I've noticed is you have your horizontal gun travel markers. Well, it's a mod, but a lot of people use it. And they don't work correctly if you use that so-called sniper mode. See, you don't see them at all at the moment. And now it's very close to my aiming point. Anyway, another shot and hit. So yeah, probably aiming at the tanks that are behind some sort of cover might be a bit easier. But again, it might be, because for me this way of aiming is the one I got used to over all these years. Again, I aim at the tank, hit, and the shell just travels as usual because of the dispersion again. So by no means it will go exactly to the point you're aiming at. Another thing this mod does is quite useful, especially for new RD players. When tank you're aiming at disappears, becomes invisible, your aiming point stays fixed on the point you were aimed at before, contrary to normal standard artillery aiming. A good example is here. The 5100 has just disappeared, but I'm still aimed at that point, hit, and we got him. The classic artillery aiming works like, as every artillery player knows, if you're aiming at the tank, say, standing on the top of the hill, and there is nothing but a sky behind him, and he goes invisible, your aiming point will go so far away that by no means your shell arc will go through that tank. You have almost no chances of hitting it. This mod fixes that. But experienced players are well aware of that and will lock their aiming point by holding the right mouse button anyway. So as I said before, this is helpful for people that are just learning how to play artillery. One more bug I have noticed is when you are in the new point of view, zoomed in on a tank, and then you switch out to arcade mode, moving or something, and then you try to right click on a minimap to change your aiming position, the mod will automatically aim to the spot you were aimed at before. So for example, if you were zoomed in on something on one line, and then all of a sudden you need to quickly switch to 0 line, that could cause you a lot of trouble, really. And one more thing, you moving your aiming point across the map is totally different to what we got used to previously. You need to get used to move your aiming point in a totally new way. If you try it yourself, you will see what I mean. Just check it out. I'm zooming on this low, okay? And here he comes, and I'm going to hit him, but this guy gets killed without my assistance. Fine. Then I try to switch to something else, but look at the way my aiming point, that small circle, travels on the minimap. It's absolutely crazy. It got me so confused quite a few times when I was trying to change my aiming position, and instead this thing kept jumping all over the map, and I was totally lost. I was like, how the hell can I change my aiming position, please? It could take quite some time to get used to that, I guess. There is another feature in this mod. If any of you have Expert perk developed on any of your crews, not just on RD but on any tank, this mod will change the way Expert perk works. If before you had to be zoomed in on the tank for the Expert to be activated, now it will activate if you mark it with T button or if you hit the enemy tank. So what do I think about this mod? Yes, aiming at tanks behind rocks or some other covers might be a bit easier, just a bit, but it takes time to get used to that new aiming. I think it can also be useful if you try to hit a tank on a city map, especially through a tiny gap between two walls or through a window. That could make your aiming a bit easier as well. But definitely a minus for me, and a huge minus, is that moving across the minimap and changing your aiming positions. That's definitely a bug, and I don't know if the developer will fix it. And of course this mod doesn't do anything with your accuracy, shell travel time or your dispersion. It just changes your point of view. Will I be using it? I don't know. To be honest, I didn't find too many advantages and a lot of disadvantages against using this mod. If you're a new Audi player and you want to understand better how your shell travels and how your Audi actually works, I guess that might be helpful for you. Decision is entirely yours. Anyways, thanks for watching and goodbye for now.